Well, good evening, East Alabama and West Georgia. Dr. Don in here with you. Stand by. We're just kind of trying to get things going here. Let me turn a little light in on the subject. It has been a wild and crazy day across the southeastern United States, and I wanted to jump in here this evening and kind of tell you where I think we are now and where we're going to go for the remainder of the afternoon and this evening. Primarily across East Alabama and West Georgia. We'll talk about Northeast Georgia up here in the mountains as well as we get into this. It is, let's see here. I don't even know what time of day it is. It is 6:50 p.m. On your Tuesday, 7:50 p.m. over on the eastern side of the time zone. And so I just want to jump in here and give you a quick update on what's going on at the moment and what I think is going to happen for the rest of the evening. And let's just jump right into it. First of all, the snow is ending across East Alabama and West Georgia. I'll dive into that a little deeper here in just a few moments. The better snows right now are occurring south of Columbus, down into southeast Alabama, back across Mobile, across the I-10 corridor in northwest Florida. Tallahassee, Florida, about to get hammered with snow rates approaching an inch, maybe an inch and a half per hour near Tallahassee, Florida. And that's going to move right up into extreme southern Georgia, places like Valdosta and Tifton, about to get some extremely heavy snowfall there. Right along I-75, right there at the Florida-Georgia state line. Just amazing stuff going on in the atmosphere that far south, but that's what we're looking at. And when all is said and done, the forecast verified very well. The bulk of the snow in Alabama was I-85 and south. Georgia, same way, though the heavier snow totals are going to come in down there in southwest Georgia, south central Georgia, and I think probably before the night's over with, southeast Georgia is going to have some pretty decent snows too. Places like Savannah down to Brunswick, maybe even Jacksonville, Florida, gets in on some snow before all is said and done after midnight tonight. One note, there are some issues in Atlanta. The travel conditions are going south very quickly. Didn't get a lot of snow in Atlanta, but as we told you in the days leading up to all of this, it's not going to take much to create problems, and apparently we have some issues, especially on the northeast side of Atlanta and down the eastern side back into Midtown and downtown Atlanta. We just got word from the Atlanta Hartsfield International Airport that surface roads are beginning to ice over near the airport in Atlanta. I know for a fact that I-85 north and east of Atlanta is a mess. I've already talked to a couple of folks who are sitting in that traffic. Folks coming back from Washington from yesterday's inauguration services. So if you are on I-85, it appears, at least 15 minutes ago, the north end of 285 and the west side of Atlanta on 285 and I-20 back into Alabama are okay. The problem appears to be from about Spaghetti Junction, north and east up I-85, and then east down to the eastern side of 285 in Atlanta, and then out I-20 east of Atlanta. That's where all the travel issues are for the most part. So if you're stuck up there on I-85 north of the Spaghetti Junction interchange, the best idea, you want to get off of 85, maybe take 985 north, that's the Gainesville exit, up to Georgia 20 there at Buford, and run Georgia 20 over to 400. You'll come out over there around Cumming on 400, and then 400 down to 285. So you'd go south on 400 down to 285, and then if you're coming to Alabama, you'd go west on 285 around to I-20, and then I-20 back into Alabama. I wouldn't suggest going down to I-85 and then south into Alabama because there are some issues. That I-85 corridor is kind of the division line between snow and no snow. So I would go I-20 back into Atlanta. So let me repeat that one more time. If you're stuck on I-85 north of Atlanta, get off on 985. That'll bring you back up toward Gainesville, be the Gainesville exit. You want to come up to Georgia 20 and run that over to 400 at Cumming, and then 400 south down to 285, and then 285 west around to I-20, I-20 west back into Alabama. You'll go right by Six Flags and get yourself back into Atlanta. Not a whole lot of snow up there on the I-20 corridor or on the west side of Atlanta. Last time we checked, that side of Atlanta was okay. But from downtown east and northeast, not a good situation in Atlanta at this hour. I know a lot of you are stuck in traffic and trying to give you an idea how to get out of it. If you're south of the 985 exit on 85, you're probably going to be better off staying on 85 down to Spaghetti Junction, but go toward Chattanooga on 285. Don't go south on 285. In other words, don't go back toward Stone Mountain. You want to go back up toward Chattanooga and come around the west side of Atlanta. Don't stay on 85 going into downtown Atlanta. I think that would be your absolute worst option. And then try to get around on the west side and then head on back into Alabama. So let's talk about the snow is ending across East Alabama and West Georgia. Let me take you in a little bit closer on the map here. And I really do appreciate all of the text messages and all the pictures I've been receiving today. I've been getting photographs from Pascagoula, Mississippi, all the way down to Orange Beach, Gulf Shores, Panama City. I've been getting photographs from Albany, Georgia, all the way north up to Birmingham, and then back down toward, of course, East Alabama and West Georgia. You guys have been flooding the inbox all day long, and I appreciate that. I've been dealing with some issues up here on my daytime job in Northeast Georgia, the reason why I hadn't been able to go live so far today. But I was keeping an eye on it, and if it looked like it was going to get out of hand, I would have been live with you. So let me turn the telestrator on, and let's do some artwork here on the screen. First of all, let me stop the radar loop right there and bring it current. Now, the backside of the precipitation at this hour is lining up like so. We still have some light snow flurries across eastern Randolph down into Chambers, southeastern Tallapoosa down into eastern Elmore. Still have some snow actually falling there in the Auburn-Opelika area. We still have snow over in Harris County. Very light snow falling still up in Troup County. I don't see a whole lot across Heard, maybe a few snow flurries in extreme southeastern Carroll County. So all the snow is out here in front of this. Behind it, maybe a flurry here and there, but nothing of any great significance. So the snow is ending across East Alabama and West Georgia. Now, let me zoom back out, show you the overall picture. And again, let me draw the back edge of all of this. We've actually got clearing skies in Birmingham. Got a peek at the sun up here in White County, Georgia, about an hour ago before the sun went down. So the clouds are clearing. North Georgia, they're clearing Birmingham. You'll start to see some stars in East Alabama and West Georgia within the next hour. Here's where the good snow is still taking place. It's real easy to pick up here on radar. That's where your heavy snowfall is occurring at this hour. Places like Macon, Georgia, down toward Albany, back over toward Enterprise, Alabama, Dothan, Donaldsonville, and look at this stuff down here around Tallahassee. That's probably approaching 2 inches per hour down there. I mean, that's just incredible snowfall. This other blue, just north of Enterprise, around Albany, back up toward Macon, some of that's probably approaching 1 inch per hour. But the really dark blues, that's getting up there, some pretty incredible snowfall rates taking place in those areas. Of course, that orange there is a mixture. And this is just the radar depiction of what's going on. Doesn't mean that that's the absolute truth. I mean, you could be looking at more snow than mix in this area, but the further south you go, now, there may be some mixture in there, but as the evening wears on and this band moves on off to the east, it's going to change over to all snow if it's not already. Eventually, in places like Jacksonville, Florida. We got snow on the beach. There's just something wrong with that. Apalachicola getting snow at this hour. Still snowing in Panama City. Destin, Fort Walton Beach, Pensacola, Orange Beach, Gulf Shores. Snow about to come to an end along the Alabama Gulf Coast area, maybe another hour or so, and it ends there. Snow already coming to an end across the Mississippi Gulf Coast and back into New Orleans. So driving is going to be horrible from Atlanta all the way into Florida on I-75. I would highly suggest not doing it. Travel's probably going to be pretty rough from Macon all the way to Savannah on I-16 as well. There's going to be some spotty areas of issues on I-85 from Atlanta to Montgomery. Last time I checked it, no issues on I-20 from Atlanta back to Birmingham. 285 on the west side of Atlanta, okay. 400 north up to Dahlonega, okay. I-85 from the connector downtown Atlanta northeast to South Carolina is in pretty rough shape, and we understand traffic is backed up for miles. And 285 on the east side of Atlanta and I-20 on the east side of Atlanta in pretty rough shape at this hour. Would not recommend travel there. And, of course, those are just the interstates. All the surface roads and state routes in this area also going to be pretty rough. I would expect south of I-85 in Alabama, anywhere down around Troy, Ozark, Eufaula, Dothan, Enterprise, back toward Andalusia, Bruton, Foley, Gulf Shores, Mobile, back up toward Monroeville, Greenville, maybe even Evergreen. Probably some travel issues taking place in this area as well. The bulk of the snow, the heavier snow amounts, have been south of 85 from Auburn, Opelika south, and then along that I-65 corridor. And I'm just going to see, we'll see if we can get the, there it is. There you go, Auburn, Alabama. There's a live look at Toomer's Corner, the gorgeous campus of Auburn University, draped in what appears to be a couple of inches of snow. It's hard to judge by just looking at this live video shot. But no doubt, some pretty good snow has taken place there in the Auburn, Opelika area. Okay, so if you don't have travel issues at your house right now, odds are you're not going to. If the roads are slick at your house right now, then that's going to continue. That is going to continue throughout the night. And it will be in place in the morning. We will get full-blown sunshine tomorrow. So that radiational heating from the solar, from the sun, will help the roads dry up tomorrow. But for a couple of 2 or 3 hours tomorrow morning, if travel is dicey in your neighborhood right now, it will be all night and it will be in the morning also. So that's the best advice I can give you. A lot of folks are asking, do we need to delay opening our business tomorrow morning? I can't tell you that, but I can tell you if driving conditions are not safe at your location right now, nothing is going to change throughout the night, and nothing is going to change tomorrow morning. It will probably be late morning or noon before we really get that good radiational heating taking place from the sun. Temperatures are going to be below freezing probably until 9, 10, 11 o'clock tomorrow morning. They won't start to creep above 32, but if you've got snowpack on the ground, you may hold right there at 32 well into the afternoon. But even if the temperature is at 32, 33 degrees, you get that radiational heating from the sun. It will help evaporate some of that snow. So that's what I'm going to go with. And I wouldn't expect there to be any widespread issues other than from the I-85 corridor south. Then you may be getting into some widespread issues. So I'm just looking over here at the chat room, and I'm seeing a lot of whatabouts. We do this what about thing regardless of the type of weather we're having. We do the what about Roanoke, what about Woodland, what about LaGrange? Still spitting snow in Roanoke, still spitting snow in Pascagoula. About to end down there, Amy. Your snow day is about to come to an end. Bainbridge, it has been snowing for the last 3 hours. I don't doubt that one bit. Any snow for Roanoke? If you haven't already received snow, the answer is no. No more snow. Snow is ending for East Alabama and West Georgia. Roanoke is in East Alabama. The snow is ending across East Alabama and West Georgia. And I'm basically talking about that area between I-20 and I-85. Do you see why it's so important to learn a little geography? I know they don't teach it in school anymore. That was maybe Trump can fix that too. But it's very important to understand where interstates are, where political boundaries are. And when I say political boundaries, I'm talking about county boundaries. It's very important to understand where your city is within that political jurisdiction and where your county lies within a state map or state political jurisdiction, because that's the way we give weather. And we have to give you, it's kind of like giving somebody directions. You go to the first McDonald's, you take a right. You go down to the big oak tree, you take another left. That we do weather that way. We talk about counties and areas, East Alabama, West Georgia. For Dr. Don's weather, our coverage area, East Alabama and West Georgia, is from I-20 down to I-85. So if your town is within that area between I-20 and I-85, in Alabama, you're East Alabama. In Georgia, it's West Georgia. Snow is ending for East Alabama and West Georgia. Could you still see a flurry here and there for the next couple of hours? Yes, you could. But the meaningful snow, the snow that's actually going to accumulate, is now down in southeast Alabama and over into central Georgia. If my telestrator will act right here, I'm going to show you what I'm talking about. And, I was on the wrong screen. That would be why it wasn't working. That's where the meaningful snow continues to fall this evening, inside that red circle. And it's moving in that direction. So if you're up here, let me change colors. If you're up here in East Alabama and West Georgia, the snow, which is down here in central and southern Georgia and southeast Alabama, northwest Florida, is moving away from you. It is moving off to the east. If it were moving to the north, then yeah, you'd have more snow coming, but it's not. It's moving off to the right of your screen. So snow ending up here in East Alabama and West Georgia for the night and for this entire event. All right, so let me go over here and take a look at the chat room and see if I have any other questions I can answer for you. We had a very close call up here in northeast Georgia. We had about an hour's worth of very heavy flurries or maybe snow showers that started about 3 o'clock Eastern this afternoon. Luckily, we made a decision to send schools home at noon today, so we had all the buses off the roads before that happened. We didn't have any notable problems on the roadways, but if it had continued for another hour or so, we would have. So kudos to the White County school system up here and all the schools that decided to let out early or not run today. Folks, that's just the smart thing to do, especially when it's winter weather. And the forecasters struggle with winter weather, and rightfully so, because snow in the South is not normal. So we don't know how to forecast it. Judging from all the traffic issues we're seeing out there, we don't know how to pay attention to it either, because a lot of folks stayed on the roads today. Okay, our roads are bad. All right, so I need you to tell me where that is. Folks, when you comment on social media, if you're giving me weather conditions, road conditions, or something specific to your location, be sure and tell me where you're talking about. I don't know where everybody lives, and it doesn't show me that. So be sure and tell me where your roads are bad. The roads in East Alabama is horrible, okay? Narrow that down for me a little bit, Jessica. What part of East Alabama are you in? Thank you, Cassandra. Some comments about never seeing snow on the beach. It sure is pretty. It doesn't happen just every day, that is for sure. It has happened before, and I think maybe some records are going to get broken with this historical snowstorm. I mean, we're talking snow all the way. At one point today, you couldn't even see the Gulf of America on the camera. At Orange Beach, it was snowing so hard. The roads, let's see here. Highway 51 and Highway 169. See, Jessica, you got to tell me what town we're talking about here. Yeah, y'all hang on a second. Okay. Sorry about that. Had a phone call I had to take. That's how we do things when we're doing it live here. Let's see. A lot of wrecks and icy roads in Noonan, Georgia. Thank you, Kay. That's what I'm looking for. Also, I-85, Franklin, Georgia, Fayette County, Georgia, and Sonoya, Georgia. Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Kay, for that report. That's what I need, folks. I know exactly where you're talking about. County Road 43 in Wadley is watching. Now, understand what happens when traffic drives on snow. There's no freezing rain. There was no freezing rain. There was very little sleet involved in this. Most everything that fell today was snow. But understand when automobiles drive over snow, it compacts that snow. And it will make a sheet of ice under the snow, especially where the weight of the vehicle has driven over the snow. And then as we go throughout the night, our temperatures tonight's going to be the coldest night so far this week. So it's going to be frigid out there. I mean, look at the overnight lows. Beauregard's going to 14. They got snowpack in Beauregard. It may go lower than that. Auburn at 15 is the expected low for tonight. Look at Carrollton, Georgia. 9 degrees is the expected low. 12 in Franklin. And so, I mean, we're looking at mid to low teens all across East Alabama and West Georgia. So anything that has fallen today that's on the ground ain't going nowhere tonight. Yeah, but by the time we get to late morning tomorrow into early afternoon with that radiational heating, we should start to see some relief on the road. So I'll go back to what I said earlier. This is very simple, but it's common sense and it's the truth. If your roads are dangerous where you live right this moment, that's not going to change tonight. Probably will be late morning or early afternoon tomorrow before we start to see some improvement on those roadways. No, Jennifer, the moisture is not going to shift north overnight. It is moving off to the east with the low pressure system. So the nucleus of this storm. Let me see if I can zoom out just a little bit. All right, so your actual low pressure system is out of the Gulf of Mexico, somewhere in this general vicinity. That may not be exact. Let me clear that off and draw that again. So, somewhere in that general vicinity is the low pressure system. It's kind of like a hurricane, okay, but it's not as strong, nowhere near as strong. But this thing is spinning out there in the Gulf of Mexico, and it is moving in that direction. So as it moves on off to the east and northeast, this area, the backside of the cloud coverage, is going to shift over to the east as well. Just like so. It would not move north. And the axis of better snowfall has already shifted well out of East Alabama and West Georgia. And it's moving in that general direction. So, no, there's no chance this is going to shift back up over East Alabama or West Georgia. All right, so Linda is telling us that in LaGrange, roads are dangerous and there's a travel curfew in effect at 9 p.m. So stay off the roads in Troup County. Yes, the snow has ended for Chambers County. Rock Mills in the house. Hey, Buffalo, New York. Good to see you, Wayne. Thank you for the comments. Is it safe to go to Steel Fab in Roanoke? I don't know. I can't answer that. I'm not there. I have not heard of any major travel problems around the Roanoke area. And judging by the amount of snowfall that you guys received, I would not expect there to be problems. But I can't tell you for sure. Somebody in Roanoke want to comment on Stephanie's question? Somebody that's there. I saw some drone footage of Noonan, Georgia, and it looks like Noonan got a pretty good snowfall. Hey, Meriwether County, good to see you in here. All right, so Jessica's telling us roads in Opelika and bridges are not passable. Down in Beauregard also. 8 inches in Mobile. Wow. Sharon is telling us that Chambers County, Lee County roads are bad, and there have been some power outages because of accidents. Yeah, I like it too, Kevin. Gulf of America. I'm good with it. Highway 22 toward Rock Mills is slick. Thank you, Sharon. All right, so it's covered in a light dusting. It's slick at the bridge. I'm assuming we're talking about 431 in Roanoke. Southern Heard County has some pretty rough roads right now. Glen and South Heard is frozen over. And see, that makes sense because that's the way the heaviest axis of moisture moved. It moved right up across northern Chambers, extreme southeastern Randolph, right up through southern Heard and up into Coweta County and Noonan. That's just how close you were, Roanoke, to getting a couple of inches of snow. And I told you it was going to be a close call. I've been advertising that for the last 24 to 48 hours. LaGrange near the Walmart is snowed in. It's beautiful. There's a travel curfew in effect here starting at 9 p.m. Do I think it would be okay to travel to West Point tomorrow night at 10:45? I suspect it will be because I think radiational heating is going to take care of a lot of the trouble areas tomorrow. We'll have to wait and see if there's any residual moisture that refreezes tomorrow night. But I would expect everything to be okay by 10:45 tomorrow night. Lee County is shut down. Okay, so from Sheriff Nelson in Chambers County, they are currently putting sand on bridges on County Road 278 and plan to work south from there. Alabama Department of Transportation is working on Highway 50 to make conditions better, and then they are headed to Highway 29. 431 bridge close to Steel Fab is slick. Okay. I'll hang tight. Producer Tracy's got something for me. She's lost it. Let's see. LaGrange, Georgia's bad. We're under a road closure curfew at 9 p.m. Steel Fab will be opening tomorrow at regular time. Use your best judgment in the morning before daylight. And that, folks, is what's called common sense. And that is exactly what everybody should do. Boy, I got on the soapbox about this the last snow event that we had. Look, you got to think for yourself, okay? You can't depend on your employer, the government, or anybody else to make decisions for you. I mean, if they're telling you it's not safe, don't do it, then don't do it. But if it's being left up to you, then you got to have some situational awareness, like getting on here and asking questions in the chat room and getting good information. I mean, it's great stuff you guys are sharing. And use common sense. If you don't think it's safe to drive on that roadway, then don't do it. That's your call. Not a single snowflake fell in Carrollton, Georgia. Not even one single. You know, that's kind of like, we say this all the time. You got a box of rocks. And I told you guys yesterday when we were doing this, some folks are going to be pleasantly surprised. Others are going to be disappointed. And that's just the way snow works in the South. And unfortunately, you folks up in Carroll County got left out. Didn't miss you by much. I mean, I'm talking just a few miles to your southeast. Down in Noonan, they got a good snow. Parts of southern and southeastern Heard County got a good snow. Randolph County saw some snow. Chambers County saw a little bit more. Lee County saw a little bit more. Troup County saw a little bit more. And the further south you went, the more snow fell during this event, which is exactly what we told you was going to happen. Great call, Vanessa. Okay, I've got some issues I've got to go deal with my daytime job, so I'm going to have to cut this short. and not hang with you as long as I had planned on, but I've got some things I got to go deal with. Here's the message at this hour, and it is 7:24 Central on Tuesday, January 21st, 8:24 Eastern. Snow is ending for East Alabama and West Georgia. The heavier snow bands are still down in southeast Alabama, northwest Florida. It will be ending in those areas probably by about 9 or 10 o'clock tonight. Heavier snow bands continue south of Macon in Georgia all the way into Florida, and it will be ending in those areas by midnight. Then we have a very cold night ahead of us, coldest night so far of this event. Temperatures will start to slowly moderate tomorrow and into the weekend. Our next significant weather event probably will come on Sunday in the form of rain. If driving conditions are dangerous at your house right now, that is going to continue all night long and probably at least until mid-morning tomorrow, more likely late morning or early afternoon, before we get any significant relief, and that will come from not warm temperatures, but radiational heating from the sun. Use common sense. If you don't think it's safe to drive, don't do it. And be safe out there, East Alabama and West Georgia. And for those of you that didn't get snow, that wanted snow, we'll try a little harder next time to try to get you some. And hang in there. There will be a next time. Probably before the end of this winter is over. That pattern is just going to hang with us maybe on into February. So don't give up hope just yet. Good Lord willing, and the creek don't rise. I'll see you back in here first thing tomorrow morning for our prime time forecast. Hey, we get that out every morning by about 6 a.m. Central, 7 a.m. Eastern, every single day, whether we have weather or not. And I hope that you'll join us tomorrow morning here on Dr. Don's Weather. Y'all have a great night.